Hi everyone, I'm Daisy Rocha and this is what's happening in Brazil. We start by updating you on the latest news from the country. The Brazilian Air Force deployed an aircraft to combat the huge fires in the Pantanal area, airdropping 48,000 liters of water during the 2-hour flight. The aircraft also used it to enhance firefighting efficiency. According to a federal government bulletin, over 600,000 hectares, almost 5% of the biome, were burned from January to June this year. This weekend, firefighting teams were reinforced with the arrival of a group from the National Security Force. So far, 500 professionals have been involved to fight the biggest fires ever recorded in the Pantanal region. President Lula recently attributed the increase in the US dollar to speculative interest against the Brazilian money. In the beginning of the week, the US dollar closed the day at over R$5.65. The highest exchange rate since January 2022, when it reached R$5.67 for every dollar. He criticized the central bank president Roberto Campos Neto for his actions on monetary policy, which maintains the basic interest rate at over 10% per year. Lula emphasized that the central bank should investigate the reasons behind the currency's rise. In a landmark decision, the Brazilian National Data Protection Agency decided that Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp cannot use data from users to train artificial intelligence tools. The decision targets the new adopted policy from Meta, the company that owns those social medias. The government agency also imposed daily fines for no compliance and raised concerns about transparency and risks to children and teenagers, which violates Brazilian law. Demonstrators from the homeless workers movement MTST in Portuguese held a protest outside São Paulo City Hall. They gave away at least 500 lunchboxes to homeless people as a protest against the bill establishing rules for donating food to people who live on the streets. The proposal, authored by City Councilor Rubinho Nunes, provides a fine of over $3,000 for those who make donations without approval. The proposal was suspended after negative repercussions. 2 weeks after an attack, families in the Canudos encampment, part of the Landless Rural Workers Movement (MST), united to rebuild their shacks following an armed assault by hooded men in Paraíba state. During the violent action, the attackers set shacks on fire, leaving the 56 families who reside there in despair. The attack took place after the landless families were officially registered by the Brazilian Institute for Colonization and Agrarian Reform, nearly 9 years after the initial occupation of the area. The families have also resumed growing corn, palm, beans, and pumpkins, and raising cattle and goats. The investigation is still ongoing. Hospitals in Belo Horizonte will have to notify the Ministry of Health about every legal abortion performed, despite opposition from the city mayor that tried to veto the law. The new rule requires hospitals to inform the reason for the pregnancy termination, the patient's age group, and racial ethnic identification. Councilors from the Works Party and the Socialism and Liberty Party criticized the decision, claiming that exposing the data could incite persecution against women who have the right to abortion guaranteed by law. In our story of the week, you will learn about aquilombamento, a movement that combines the struggle for rights with preservation of Quilomba communities' lifestyle. In their attempt to secure land titles, Quilombola women from different regions also protect their ancestral way of life and preserve biodiversity.
The struggle for rights, along with the celebration of the diversity of the Quilombola peoples, has become a single verb, aquilombar.
For us, aquilombar is about showing our way of life and belonging, which our culture of demands. So, aquilombar for the future is precisely to present this to society so we don't lose it. Our foot on the ground is a feeling, and our ancestry and oral stories are also so dear to us.
The movement was the motto of a meeting of Quilombola communities from all over the country, which took place last May in Brasilia during the second Quilombolas Day of Struggle in Brazil, organized by the National Coordination of Articulation of Quilombos, also known as CONAC. It occurred at a time when 7 out of 10 Brazilians have already experienced at least one extreme event associated with climate change, according to the Intelligence and Research and the Strategic Consulting. Aklomba also highlights the importance of cultural roots in building a more inclusive and sustainable future that must be based, above all, on ancestral care and the preservation of nature.
A gente faz com que
We make sure that the crops we grow combined with other plants produce more, which means that we need to deforest less, therefore improving the way we deal with water. We don't pollute rivers with pesticides. The food we grow is organic, so we preserve water that will be used by humans and animals. With this extra in our income, we don't need to deforest even more, so we prevent the natural disasters that happen naturally to some extent, but which are caused by humans because of the greed of producing more and not for consumption, for subsistence, but for agribusiness, speculation, and sale for export.
Being a quilombola is also about fighting for the future. One of the main proposals of the quilombola communities is land titling. To date, only 147 territories in Brazil have been titled. Of the more than 1.3 million quilombola individuals registered in the country, almost 90% still live in communities to be titled, as shown by data from the first ever quilombola census carried out by the Brazilian Institute of Geography and Statistics.
a gente quer a titulação das nossas terras.
We want our land to be titled, and it has been a very painful process for us. In this country, a territory hasn't been titled for more than 6 years. So for us who have been fighting for it, it's been very expensive. This is very painful for our people because we've seen the fruit of this delay, of people losing their lives because of real estate speculation, land grabbing. So for us, titling is fundamental to the existence of quilombos.
A daily struggle proudly carried out to preserve traditions and build the future. Aquilombar.
Quilombola para mim é uma grande beleza.
Being a quilombola for me is a great beauty, a great nature, so to speak, because we are part of a network of leaders, great great grandmothers and great grandmothers. We have been living in it for a long time.
In this edition's Culture Talk, you will learn about art and its plurality. Artists from the Federal District share their thoughts about art as a way to restate, denounce, manifest, and survive for LGBTQ people.
Vitor Baliani is a drag performer and a member of the Drag District Board. He tells us about his artistic work and comedy work.
Drag queen, gente, é uma expressão artística. Não diz respeito ao gênero.
Drag queen is an artistic expression. It has not to do with a person's gender. It doesn't disrespect a person's sexual orientation. Everyone can perform as a drag queen. I'm very fortunate to have been gifted by the universe to do this kind of art. It is a political movement in itself. So when we are on the streets, in the theater, television, or media outlets, we are breaking many paradigms. That's a political act.
Diverse and with many possibilities, For the DJ and cultural producer Jess Unlun, art can be a place of belonging.
Me sinto muito acolhida.
I feel very welcome. I am not trying to romanticize it, but it's really nice that we have a space where we can express ourselves. Sometimes we bring up the LGBTQ plus issue only through the lens of suffering, but it's not. It is also about belonging, welcoming different ways to express myself, and showing my essence and authenticity.
Brasilia's effervescent and spontaneous cultural scene is the place where these diverse artists meet.
De uma maneira geral, aqui em Brasília,
In general, here in Brasilia, the public consumes art as a whole. And there is the state of Goiás and its capital city, Goiânia. Maybe there is a cultural exercise. I'm not sure if that's what it is, but you have to captivate many people to build a stronger cultural scene here in Brasilia. Someone who heard that there is a performance in such a place isn't going to bring up at least what is about in Goiânia. There's still not much of that culture in Goiás.
Did you like the show? So hit the like button and share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel to receive notifications. We will see you next week.